God Made Me and You Couldn't Break Me is a powerful and inspiring memoir by Denise Devroe. And she's here now with us on the podcast. And she reflects on her journey through immense challenges and the strength she found in unwavering faith. She's a survivor, author, and advocate for living a life of peace and strength through faith. And she has faced many hardships, including personal loss, difficult circumstances, but she has emerged stronger through her unwavering belief in God's guidance. And her mission is to inspire others just like you listening or watching this show to find your path to resilience and peace and to always trust in God's plan. So we're going to find out the secrets from the legend herself and about her book, God Made Me and You Couldn't Break Me. So Miss Denise Devroe, how are you today?
I am doing good today. Thank you for asking.
I'm glad to hear it. It's important to have those pleasantries, right? Sometimes you see someone, you're like, hey, it just helps to have one little compliment or say one quick thing, and it feels good to get that delivered to you, so why not deliver it to others? And so getting that out of the way, which is still important, what are you here to tell us today? What's your message?
My message is to let people know, like, if you're going through hardship in a relationship, whether it's a hardship, financial ship, or whatever you're going through in a relationship, what happens a lot, you can always look up to God and pray, and He will answer you and help you through your struggle. It may not be the time at that time that you need the answer, but He'll get it to you sooner or later and make sure you're able to get out of any situation you're in and live happy and peaceful. And that's what I had to do.
Okay, well, I'm excited to dig into some of those difficult times for you and what you've had to pray. But I had a discussion just earlier today about prayer and how sometimes people like misunderstand it, right? As if I'm just like calling an Uber or placing an order at a restaurant, and then they say, "Oh, but I prayed for this exact thing. I didn't get it right away." So there's more nuance to it, isn't it? So can you tell us maybe like what prayer is all about for you and what maybe we might misunderstand about it?
Yeah, for me, it's like, don't pray like when something actually happens. You've got to stay faithful to God every day, every time. So when something's going good for you, stay prayed up. When something's bad, stay prayed up. Ask Him what you need and want, let Him know what you're needing at the time. And like I said, He'll answer your prayers, but it may not be at that exact time, but He will, when He feels it's time for you to have those prayers answered, He will get them delivered to you.
Very nice. And you think about consistency, right? Like it's
Yes.
important to stay active and to eat good and to be consistent in your relationships. And if you went a month without eating healthy, or if you had that friend that you went a month without talking to, well, that's not really a friend. And so, but it's that's one way of thinking about it. But if people take a month or longer without praying or without keeping this God relationship alive, well, no wonder you're frustrated and not where you want because you need to show up even on the hard days and on the
Yes.
easy days. And so as far as like you and your own prayer, are you the kind of person like do you pray like same time every day? Do you have a routine? What's that like?
It's like a routine for me. So in the mornings when I wake up, I pray. And then at night before I go to bed, I pray. And I've taught my kids and grandkids to do the same thing. So they do it as well. And I'm just like I told everybody else, just don't do it when you need something to happen. When something bad happens, you got to do it all the time. So that's how I feel. And
Yeah.
I've gotten over. So I'm really faithful to God Himself because He has delivered me from terrible situations.
And I'm curious about what sort of situations, because you put this in this book, and we all have our own difficulties, but it helps to hear about what others have gone through, right? We feel like we're not alone, and that Denise went through so much more than I did, and if she can survive that, imagine what I can survive. So you tell me, what is this book all about, and what sorts of challenges have challenged you?
Like it's about me and my ex-husband when we first met. Things were going good, but didn't realize that he was the type of man that didn't one woman wasn't enough for him. So he was always cheating and stuff. And when I first met him, I was not a fighter. I never was into fighting and stuff like that. But after I got with him, it was like I had to, because I was always getting jumped on by certain different women that I didn't know he was involved with all the time. So that's one thing that I would have gone through. financial difficulties with him because he liked to shoot dice, go to the after hour spots and shoot craps all the time. And if he lost his money, I had to change my debit card and hide it from him because he would come take my money out of my purse or debit card. And then I'd wake up the next morning and there would be no money in the account, because he was shooting dice, messing with this one woman he had kids with. I'm driving down the main street in Lubbock one time, and her brother pull up next to me, and I can see him through the corner of my eye, and I get shot at 3 times. She busted out my back windshield, the side part where I was, and then the front windshield busted out. So this was his, side piece that he was messing with. I was the wife at the time, so I couldn't understand why she was shooting at me. That was just kind of crazy to me. So I just like, enough is enough. And going through that was bad. But the worst part of my time was now having my granddaughter on Christmas Day was not bad at all. I loved that, the fact that I had her. Call my dad, let him know my granddaughter was born. And he was like, okay. Well, I get a call the next day saying my father passed away. He passed away. I just talked to him on Christmas. And the next day, after I find out he passed away, my ex-husband's trying to come and take my car with him to go riding around. And he likes to do, show out in the car. Like he's the one that paid for it. And I go out there to try to stop him. Of course, I had started drinking very heavily. So I did have some vodka in my hand. I was mourning the death of my father, out there upset, drinking, and he wouldn't give me the keys to my car. So when I tried to get out of the passenger side to go around the front, he literally hit me with the car. He put it in reverse, hit me, the door knocked me down, and he ran over my legs, and I hit the cement with my mouth and broke my 2 front teeth. And, my son heard everything. He came out there and grabbed his dad and made him leave. Like, you can't drive a car anymore. And it took me over a year to get my teeth corrected, because you have to go through a lot of dental stuff to get that going. But that right there made me start saying that I have to get away from him. But it still was still bad for about another year or two after that because he kept coming around.
Geez, so much pain and suffering, and one single person's selfishness is the root cause, and
Yep.
it's not easily fixed or instantly fixed. And so
Right.
on that journey of getting right, you learned a lot, and you developed this relationship with God. So, like, what was that like in that kind of painful path back to the light?
Yeah, no, I would cry, literally like pray for him to help get rid of my ex-husband, like keep him away from me, and especially when I filed for divorce, it got worse because they granted me spousal support. So he had to pay the bills he left me with. And so that made him more enraged. So I had to kind of watch my back because if I wasn't at home or if I was at the store, he would try to jump me at the stores or jump me at the house whenever he knew he could come in here. I had to take the keys from him, not knowing that he had made a copy. So I'm sleeping one night and he still comes and jumps me in the middle of the night, So stuff like that I would pray for constantly. I started praying real heavily after I got shot at, and then especially after my dad had passed away and that incident happened between me and him. And I made it a habit to pray every day, regardless, not just for help to get out of the situation, but for help for my kids too, because they saw everything that was going on.
Yeah. I can imagine how, oh, I can't imagine how unsafe you must have felt with just so many threats, not to mention said like what your kids are experiencing, right? They're seeing
Yes.
all these sorts of things happen to you. But what's good is that you survived it, you made it. And is there anything that you think that you might have like told your younger self, or if you could get back there somehow, is there anything that you might like pass on as words of advice?
Yes, because I named my daughter, and my son too. My son, I'm like, he don't ever, lay your hands on a woman. That's not the right thing to do. And, he's older now and he's got a girlfriend and he won't. He's like, I'll never put my hands on a female because he saw what happened to me. My daughter, seeing what happened to me, she's like, she didn't want to get involved with a man that started showing signs like her dad did, at the time of being angry, start cheating and putting your hands on them a little bit at a time. And then after a while it get worse. So I had to let them know, kind of be careful, what you do with your relationships, because you don't want to go through what I went through. And I don't want them to go through what I went through. So helping, making sure that they do right, it is a blessing for me to see that they've done good so far. So
Oh yeah, it seems like you've raised them right, and with these generational curses, it appears to me at least that they swing one of two ways, right? Either you continue it, and that might mean like you yourself are an abuser, or you partner up with an abuser, or you go the other way and you say, "Hey, I can set some boundaries, and I can see the warning signs, the red flags, and if I
right,
see even a little bit of this bad behavior, I know that that's only the beginning, and it won't get better, and I might get trapped and hooked with the sunk cost and say, oh well." Now I'm married now we have kids now. I'll stick it out, and they keep taking more advantage of it.
yes,
And
yes,
uh
that's true.
and so but if we hear this lesson, it might not stick, but we kind of live your story and read through your book, and we might get a kind of a better idea. And so you live through all this, and like what led you to putting this into book form, right? Because like we all have like a message or we can pass things on, but putting it into a book, that takes a lot of like hard work, dedication. And so what was the inspiration for writing the book?
I had, before I retired from my job, I had been thinking about writing a book. And since I retired back in June of 2024, I was like, I'm going to go ahead and get the book written. But I didn't write it. I had it ghost written. So the publishing company I went with would call me once or twice a week, and I would tell my part that needed to be told at that time. Some parts were easier than others. Some I would cry on because it was like bring me back into the moment, like reliving that time all over again. But it was so much easier to have it ghostwritten because I was able to tell them, give them a story like an hour a day of what I needed to tell them about my story, my book, and it worked out a lot better for me that way.
And that's good to know that if someone like someone has these excuses, so to speak, and they say, "Oh, well, I don't have the time or I don't have the skill," like there's ghostwriting available where it's still you still have those raw materials, but then a team goes and fixes it up.
Yep.
And what's great about creating a book, no matter what your method is there's always seems to be like the self-discovery, self-expression, right? You said that you
Mm-hmm.
kind of dug up some old wounds, and even though you weren't like writing the exact words, you told these stories. So was there any kind of like connecting the dots or any ahas that you had when you were telling your story to this ghostwriter?
Yeah, I mean, and they would sympathize with me because they knew when I would get real emotional. But then after telling all the bad stuff and then starting to go into the stuff of after, I started surviving and after I was able to get him completely away from me and me and the kids having a better life, without their dad, because it was probably a couple of years that they didn't talk to their dad because of that. But with the peace that we had and endured was so much better for us, to live happier and help them with what they were going through, so I made sure that they were happy. We started taking vacations together and I started doing stuff with them more and more and more, and they saw the fact that I was doing so much better and they were proud of me. So
Well, that must feel really great. Yeah, and it's like you turn the bad into a good, and so many people are worried about divorce and what it will lead to. But if it gets you out of a bad situation and it leads to all these way better things in the long term, then go for it. And so,
yes.
what's the situation with Dad now? Do you get along? Is he just completely gone? Is he worse? Is he someone else's victim? What happened?
He's somebody else's problem now because the same woman that shot at me is the woman he's with now. And so my son and my daughter finally, like I said, it took them a while to start back talking to him, but I did let them know, regardless, that's your dad, regardless. So they do associate with him now, and they've seen parts where he still does the same thing. He leaves, he goes out, he gambles, and the woman's in there crying, about she didn't sign up for this stuff. Well, you knew he was married when you were messing with him, so what did you expect? He was doing it to me, and he told me a long time ago before I even divorced that he told that lady, you think I'm going to be, honest and faithful to you if I wasn't to my wife? And she still is with them to this day. So I'm like, that's that's her problem now, and I'm okay with it. So if I see him, I'll just wave hi and bye, and that's it. I don't care to have a conversation with him or anything. But my kids, they still associate with him though.
Okay. So it seems like it in a way it worked out. And there's that saying, if someone tells you who they are, believe them the first time. And
Right.
um So this has been you made me think, right, in our conversation here, just about how the way that life goes on, and we make these important decisions, and we make our mistakes, and we can, we have a choice, right? We have freedom, and it's not always easy, but sometimes we can get the help of our creator or go and help of our friends and get educated. But I want to make sure that we focus on what's important to you, Miss Denise, because we've jumped around these topics, but I have to wonder, do you think there might be a missing conversation in our discussion, or a missing question in our conversation that I should be asking you? I just don't know what to ask you.
Um, Literally, like a lot of people, as far as like the book itself, they asked me about the book. How did I come up with that name? Um, I did. It took me over a month and a half to think of the name, but I went to sleep one night and I was thinking so hard about it. It just came to me while I was sleeping, and I had to wake up and literally write it down so I wouldn't forget it. I'm like, boy, this book, the name of the book just came to me so easily in my sleep. But yeah, that's that. And then the cover itself, it took me a long time to find the type of cover I wanted for it. So I just wanted something that was eye catching, that would catch people's attention, and I would love for people to read it and see that there is light after the darkness. There's hope. Don't, take it upon yourself to be selfish and continue to stay, because you still have kids involved,
Yeah.
and they can take a bad part of being like that, because my son could have been the type of man that would do the same thing as daddy did, but he decided upon himself he wasn't going to do that. And I'm so glad. But yeah, there's even if it helps one person, to me, I'm okay with that. I just want to be able to give out a something to these people to learn and listen, like, hey, there's light after the darkness, and you can be happy all over again, and it can happen.
Well, that's beautiful and that's wonderful. And it's easy as a crutch to give up or have the low self-esteem and say, oh, well, it doesn't matter what I do because it's just about me. But when others are depending on you, especially
Mhm.
your children, it's like,
Yeah.
well, you have to sometimes step it up. And so you say that the name of the book is God Make Me and You Couldn't Break Me. And we can go to DeniseDevroe.com. That's DEVROE.com to look at this cover. And there's like a tear coming down and it hits upon, and there's the ripple effect. In my own interpretation of that is like the idea of the ripple effect is you help so many people that you don't even know in which ways you're helping. But you tell me, like, what should we be interpreting from this cover with like the teardrop coming down and the ripple going out?
Yeah, the teardrop coming down is the pain that you felt, the crying and stuff, and the praying to God, and the ripple effect is him seeing you through everything. Like the happiness, the light, the presence of being happy all over again is what that ripple effect is for you, your kids, your family, so especially family too, they see you go through stuff like that. So that's the presence of the ripple effect, is for the happiness, and God itself, that God helps out. So I just don't want anybody to think that, oh, I'm going to start praying right now and see if he answers. No, it's got to be something that's in your heart. You got to have faith in him and believe in him, and he will answer you sooner or later.
So have discipline and consistency and accept
Exactly.
that grace, which means that I'm given things by God and I don't even know what they are, and I'm not deserving of them, but they're just given to me to help me out, and then it's up to me to either squander that gift or to help others and bring happiness to other people. And so
Right.
if we're stuck in our own lives or we just need that extra help, and we say, well, is there a great book out there that I should read and study from? Well, here it is, right? It's by Denise Devroe. It's called God Made Me and You Couldn't Break Me. It's this powerful and inspiring memoir. It's got heartfelt stories of struggle, growth, and healing. And it serves as this reminder that even in the darkest moments, faith can light the way and nothing can break the spirit that God has shaped. It's a memoir for anyone who has faced hardship, if you're looking for inspiration or you're looking to find strength in the face of life's challenges, because we all have those challenges and those problems, and it helps to read a book such as this excellent memoir written by Denise to know that we're not alone and that there are tools available, and it begins with our relationship and our faith with God, and to show up every day. Because if we want God to show up for us every day, then we can't just be that fair weather friend. And so the book is God Made Me and You Couldn't Break Me. And then the website is DeniseDevroe.com, DeniseDevroe.com. You can click around and discover all about the book. You can contact Denise, but as we're checking out that website and that book, it's time for the scary part of the podcast, Miss Denise, where I try to stump you, I try to put you on the spot by asking about a fun or interesting quote or lesson that has served you. So, what comes to mind as far as a fun or interesting quote or lesson?
Okay. Let's see. Interesting lesson. Oh, to me, the lesson itself was that the happiness that I endure, your kids, your grandkids, enjoying life and making sure that they're okay. And that's my main priority is my kids and my grandkids. So, and I love it. Oh, and one more thing, I do have my mother living with me, and everybody tells me that's a blessing, because a lot of people's mothers aren't around anymore. And I always make sure she's happy and has what she needs as well. So
Very
I
good.
love that.
Very thoughtful. Well, it helps to nurture these relationships and to feel good and to just hear about, what has been transformed from this terrible situation as something now is helping others. So check out this book, God Made Me and You Couldn't Break Me by Denise Devroe. We can go to denisedevroe.com or search God Made Me and You Couldn't Break Me on Amazon. Check it out, read it. You'll love it. You'll feel good. You'll learn some lessons along the way. And thank you very much, Miss Denise Devroe, for showing up, stopping by, and just getting us on an enlightened path. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're so welcome. It was great being on the show with you. Thank you for having me.